Sandy says read, and welcome to the channel. You guys, I think I have placated the birds with enough treats that they might let us get through some filming. I have waited until the drag racing has stopped outside. I think my neighbors have gone off to take afternoon naps. We'll see if we can get through this without too much background noise. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. You know, I don't edit these things. I'm learning how to do like some light editing, but typically I don't edit these things. So, you know, we're going to get what we get. Let's start. What we're doing today is a BookTube tag. And in fact, today what we're doing is kind of twisting a new BookTube tag. Holy crap, over the past week, one of these tags out here on BookTube has just blown up. And I'm gonna twist it a little bit to participate in this tag. What's happening is I saw where Kelly, if it was a Kelly? Yeah, Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading did a tag, originated a tag called the I'm So Annoyed tag, or the I'm Annoyed tag, with things about the book publishing industry, things you see in books, things that happen with books and characters and stuff that just kind of annoy you, right? She did that tag based off of a video she saw from, was it Melinda? I think it's Melinda. Did I write it down? Yeah, Melinda at A Web of Stories. Melinda did a video, just a quick sort of, not really rant, but a discussion of some stuff that was just bugging her after she had been feeling under the weather for about a week, right? And I watched both of these videos. I've been watching a few of these BookTube tag videos where folks, you know, they're taking this very in a very fun light, as it should be, right? And that's great. That's awesome. It's entertaining to see us out there talking about books to begin with, and to see the different takes that people are taking on the I'm Annoyed tag. But you know, here at the Sandy Says Read channel, I try so hard to keep it positive and upbeat and light and fun and just optimistic. And because of that, if you would like to subscribe, I welcome you to do so for the fun and upbeat and positive and optimistic and good stuff that we do here. Please subscribe. It's free. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this I'm Annoyed tag on its head, and we're going to talk about the things that are not annoying to us in the books and the publishing and the stuff. And I've got the window open over there. I can see stuff going on outside. So if I get distracted, I apologize. I apologize if that's annoying. Okay. As you can tell, this is very tongue-in-cheek. Okay. I'm trying not to like drag the folks who have done the I'm Annoyed tag, because they're just having fun with it. And that's cool. I think that's awesome to have fun with books. But we're gonna twist it, and we're gonna do the I'm Not Annoyed tag. So I have taken the 10 prompts from the Annoyed tag and I kind of switched them up a little bit, changed them, if you will. So prompt number 1 for us is, do publishers or the publishing industry ever do things that impress you? Share an example. And yes, yes, recently there was, I think it was Del Rey that had signed, should I just go ahead and say her name? Had signed Kate Corain, and Kate Corain had a book coming out, and she did some naughty, kind of ridiculous things, and she was bullying some other authors and one-star bombing their books with multiple accounts on Goodreads. And I don't think we have to say allegedly anymore. It's proved she was doing that. And Del Rey dropped her, and her agent dropped her, and didn't just drop her, but made a statement saying, we're going to drop this author. Not just we're going to pause this author and deal with this author in the future, but drop this author for this ridiculous behavior, craziness, wackiness. They basically took a stand. And I was pleased with that. Maybe that's a little negative, but I'm telling you, when the publishing industry sees something that is just reprehensible, it's good if the publishing industry can say, this is reprehensible and we're not going to stand for it. So I thought that was a good thing. That was something the publishing industry did that impressed me. I don't care for cancel culture. I don't care for jumping on a bandwagon and pouncing on someone. But when someone does something that is actually just stupid and reprehensible, maybe what we do is not cancel that person, but say, okay, you need to go into timeout. You need to think about what you've done. Sit over there for a little while. Yeah, so let's not beat a dead horse. Let's move on to question number 2. Question number 2, have you ever been so intrigued by a spoiler-filled review that you picked up the book to read it? And yeah, I think that I've actually watched some of these BookTube videos where booktubers have been talking about books that I've not read. I've not read every book out there, right? So when I'm watching a review and I think, oh my gosh, that sounds so intriguing. And even if, the booktuber gives away the entire plot and all the plot points, including the ending, if I'm still intrigued by the book, I'm going to pick it up and read it. I'm still going to get it and read it because I'm intrigued by it. So that's going to happen. In college, we were reading Pride and Prejudice, and there was it was set up so that we were reading Pride and Prejudice over more than just one class period. Excuse me. Sorry, guys, I'm going to die here. We were reading it over more than one class period. So we were assigned like the first 100 pages and then like the next 100 pages for each class period that we were reading it, right? And then we would have a discussion. Well, some people, myself included, some people read ahead in the book. And when we came into class to discuss it, someone in the class mentioned Mr. Darcy proposing to Elizabeth, and someone else in the class went, oh my God, I'm not there yet, and got really upset because that got spoiled for that person, right? And the professor was like, oh, come on, how did you not know that was coming? Like, well, okay, first of all, that's a little bit rude right there, but then we had a discussion about Mr. Darcy and how it looked obvious that Darcy would fall in love with Elizabeth, and how did we not see it coming? It was a discussion then about the machinations of the book and how it was obvious that these two were going to end up together, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But anyway, the spoiler point of that is someone in the class had read ahead. A lot of us in the class had read ahead. Someone in the class had not. And that person who had not was like pissed that a spoiler was given away. So yeah, people can get really upset when spoilers are given away. But tell me, have you ever been so intrigued by a spoiler that you had to read the book anyway? Did the fact that there was a spoiler not actually spoil the experience? It might take us a while to get through these questions if I'm going to talk about them all. I'll try to speed it along, you guys. Number 3, have you ever been pleasantly surprised by what you discovered in a little free library, a book sale, or a used bookstore? Let's see, tell us what you found and how awesome it was. And I wrote this question down, and then I thought, I have been in a used bookstore and found like an old first edition of a book, or maybe it wasn't a first edition, but it was an old paperback, like almost falling apart book. And I was so excited, and I bought it for like $5, and I can't remember the title of it. It's somewhere on the shelves in this room. I've got shelves around here. And one of the questions is going to talk about the order of your shelves. We'll get to that in a minute. It's not in great order over there. I couldn't find it for this video. It was blue. But I was really excited at the time, okay? So yeah, that was my experience with finding a treasure in a used bookstore. I'm sure there are others that I could think of if I thought about this longer, but I want you guys to tell me about something cool that you found in a little free library. I don't know that I have ever seen a little free library in the wild. Like, I don't know that I've come across one in my wanderings. There's certainly not one in my fabulous neighborhood. There's certainly not one around here. I should probably set one up and see how long it takes for my neighbors to just destroy it. Not that I live in a sketchy neighborhood, but I wonder. Follow along here for when I start my Netflix special on my neighbors. Question number 4. Do you have any series or collections of stories you've read with a novella in the middle? And tell us about it. This question in the annoyed tag was whether or not novellas in the middle of short story collections annoy you, which they don't. And so I've changed it up to talk about novellas in like a whole collection, because I thought immediately of the Terry Goodkind novella. Let's see, this one is Debt of Bones, and I bet there's a glare. You get it so that there's not. I'll try. Okay, this one, Debt of Bones. This is a novella in the middle of his whole long Sword of Truth series. What is there, like 13, 14 books in that thing, right? They're all over here on this shelf behind me. But this novella was kind of just stuck in the middle there. And it's a story of like Abby and Zed the wizard. And it's a short story. It's a novella from before the boundaries went up in that land, before that weird magic took over. And why am I talking about it? Oh, yeah. It did not bother me that there was a novella in the middle of that huge long series. I dig it. I love it. I'm glad this novella was in there. This novella being in the middle of that series actually gave me ideas for how to include like novellas and short stories and chapbooks and stuff like that in between the novellas that my publisher was releasing. Because I mean, this was stuck in there and it was something to tide you over between the release of novels in the series. I'm like, oh, that's really smart marketing. So yeah, there we go. Question number 5. Show us a book you own with beautiful edges. You guys, most recently here, I purchased the Fancy Dancy special edition of The Hobbit, and it has those fancy edges. Can you see it? Yeah, it has those fancy edges that, they're blue and they have the dwarven runes on them. Yeah, those are beautiful edges. But I also picked up one of my copies of Jane Eyre. Now I have the Easton Press edition of Jane Eyre with like the gold edges on it, which is real pretty, but they're very stiff. And this edition, you can kind of see it's like this fake leather, right? So it's kind of floppy, and it has these red edges, and it is more flexible. See how it does? But isn't that pretty? Aren't those red edges pretty? And there's just something more pleasing about this one's edges, even though they're not as beautiful as the gold. There's just something more pleasing about the texture and the feel and the turning of the pages, as well as the color. If that makes sense. There's something very pleasing and not annoying about this version of Jane Eyre and its lovely edges. Okay, there you go. Okay, what's next on the list? Number 6, have you ever read a book where someone else's annotations gave you new insight or helped you understand the text? And I'm going to say yes. Crime and Punishment. This one, I bought it used, obviously, because someone else's annotations were already in it. Now, let's see if I can find, I don't know if I can turn right to a page that has a ton, but here's some. Look, they had it underlined with different colors. And I don't remember now what the different colors stood for. I think the pink was underlining things to do with characters. I don't remember what the other colors were. But I should have marked these. Hold, please. I should have put a bookmark in here. Oh, here we go. Part 4. At the beginnings of the different parts, there was enough blank space that the person who owned this before me wrote in like a synopsis of the previous part, which maybe some people would find that obnoxious. But as I was going through it, I'm like, huh, how interesting, because it gave a synopsis of the previous part, which was a nice like Cliff's Note, right? But it also it kind of gave that person's, well, it did give that person's viewpoint on what was happening. I thought, well, isn't that clever? What an interesting way to read a book. What an interesting way to experience a story. And this one also has cool edges. Yeah, it has like those deckled edges. This is the Penguin, what is it? The Penguin, hold please. Oh, geez. You guys probably know right off the top of your head which Penguin books, Penguin, Random House. Oh, you guys. Why doesn't it say on the copyright page which version of this it is? Well, it's the Penguin Fancy version, because isn't that the next question? Where is it? Yeah, because there's the annotations. Question number 7. Show us a series or collection of books you have that's gorgeous or pretty or intriguing. And the Penguin collection, it wasn't Penguin Gothic, was it? Here we go. Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. That's what it was. I have a series of these. I don't think I collected them all, but I've got a bunch of them over there on the classics bookshelf. Of course, I have Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights. This one, I think, Pride. Maybe I should have written them down. You know what? I have a really quick, like 1-minute bookshelf tour of this room. I will put a link to that in the drop-down box below, and then you can see the different book series collections that I have. Really fast, but you can see them because there are some series that are just really pretty and intriguing and lovely. Show us yours. Let me know which collections you have that you think are just fabulous and wonderful and great. Okay, what's next? Number 8, characters in novels are supposed to do funky things to add conflict and propel the plot. But are there any characters who have done something in a book that made you say, yeah, I'd do that? And yeah, let's see. I just finished reading the duology from Rachel Gillig of One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, and there was a character in there named Raven. He was the captain of the Destriers, so he's supposed to be a bad guy, but he kind of thwarts the king's wishes, right? And in the first novel, I didn't connect with him as much as I did in the second novel. And there were things he did in the second novel that I was like, yeah, I'd do that. Yeah, I'd do that. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, go. Yeah, I'm with you, dude. So I connected with him more in the second novel. And because I just finished reading it, I think I'm answering this question with him because I just finished reading that book. So yeah, there are plenty of novels I've read where the characters are doing stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, plenty. Which, isn't that why we read these things? We're connecting with the characters. I mean, they're supposed to do crazy things that, conflict. Let's move on to question number 9. Question number 9. How do you organize your books? Is it random and crazy and haphazard, or is it meticulous and alphabetical? What about your system is pleasing to you? You guys, I'm a Gemini, and I usually don't put much stock in astrology, but sometimes I can see the dual side of my personality. And in the way I do my den, my little library here, it shines through because you guys, my fantasy stuff over here behind me seems quite organized. The Bronte shelf is quite organized. The classics are quite organized. The dragons and Tolkien, quite organized. Everything else is like this haphazard. Okay. So there's a little bit more organization than I thought. The children's books come down into youth and young adult right after that. So there is some organization going on in my library of books. But then there gets to be this haphazard nature to it as well, where I've got just random things, not in alphabetical order by author or title or genre. No, they're just scattered. Because I have so many books and I need more bookshelves so that I think if I had more bookshelves and more space, I could then become more organized and more Dewey Decimal System like. But no, there's no Dewey Decimal System going on in Sandy's den. It is what it is. But I do try to keep the genres somewhat separated. Somewhat. The fantasy is where fantasy should be mostly. I might be totally misinforming myself and thus you, I don't know. But I will link that quick little video, that 1-minute run through this room. I'll link that below and you can decide for yourself if I'm insane or not. Number 10. Let's move on to number 10. The last question on our list. Share something about books that makes you happy or brings you joy. Share. Share in the comment field below, share with one another, get a conversation going. What is it about books? One thing, two things, 10 things. What is it about books that makes you happy? What is it about books that brings you joy? You guys, I've got a few things. I like writing them and I like reading them because it takes me to another place, puts me in someone else's head, gives me someone else's story, gives me someone else's world. It takes me out of my current place. You may be aware that we're living in some crazy times right now. People get a little negative. People talk about things that annoy them. People do get kind of negative out there online, and boy, howdy, sometimes you just want to escape it. You just want to get away. The best way to do that is to open up a book. Open a book and go to someone else's imagination for a little while. Join them in their fantasy world. Join them in their sci-fi world. Go to Thornfield Hall and just hang out with Jane and Rochester for a while. Yeah, that's the joy of books for me. Just going somewhere else for a little while, hanging out on BookTube with you guys. Everybody, thumbs up for books and things that don't annoy us, and BookTube tags that are fun to play with. Please subscribe to the channel. Please click the bell notification icon so you are notified each time we do something fun, something that hopefully is not annoying here on the channel. I will put some links in the drop-down box below to these cool people who have done fun things with the annoying tag. And I hope that you guys will grab some of these questions and do the not annoying tag as well as the annoying tag, because they are both fun. They're both about books. That is cool.